What's up, traders? Eric here with MajorLeagueTrading.com. And what an absolutely ridiculous move today out of the NASDAQ. Like, I don't even know how else to, a 260.5 minute bar coming off the CPI data this morning at 8:30. And at this point, if you're still a bear in this market, which to be fair has been valid essentially, but we're just not getting the move, right? Like, it's okay to be skeptical of, this large gap up here and the large gaps in which we've seen and the large move in which we've seen. But the moves really, out of the last, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 trading days, we've essentially just had 2 red bars on the daily chart down here. So it's been a massive move to the upside. I think at this point, it's fairly safe to say that bears here are essentially hibernating for what is looking to be like kind of a Santa Claus rally here. So there's still room to go, which sounds kind of crazy here to the upside. But at this point, unless we do something significant, we erase a bar, we do something, which, essentially we did try back here. It looks to just be, kind of all hands on deck to the upside. So I wanted a short today personally, but the trade in which I was looking for was something very, very specific, which was essentially, popping up here through kind of these morning highs of, 839s, and then push back down beneath, this level here and the opening print, and then, roll over from there and trying to get a move back down here towards, 15,660s, which just, was kind of the area where we were thinking we'd open today, and then see, hey, could we work higher from there, or were we going to pull back, right? So we had kind of those scenarios coming into this week. Like, hey, if things were going to get crazy, yesterday was going to be quiet. Well, things got crazy today. And it begs the question here of, like, tomorrow we got more data coming out at 8:30, right? So this is going to be for Wednesday, November 15th. We've got core PPI, retail sales, Empire State, more PPI, and then, retail sales again on top of that. So if CPI today, was able to push us 260 points in 5 minutes, can that kind of push us up here into, sort of the 16,000 area and maybe more, right? So for me, my game plan going into tomorrow, just out of the overall markets here, is that on first test of 839 quarters here, if we do get a pullback, which would be about 60 points from where we're currently trading, I'm willing to long that if it holds and can bounce, right? Ideally, we open above that level for that spike lower, and then can, get back up through the open. We can trade that to the upside. In the event that something does happen to the downside with this 830 news and we open beneath 839s, then I would be looking at shorts on a first test of that level. And for us to roll over, safer entry would be under opening print at that point if it is to open beneath there, after a test. So for me, that's essentially going to be the line in the sand here. If we don't get that test of 839s, that's completely fine. We'll look for something, much like today, once we get up through opening print. Then we just got to start trying to, buy pullbacks, buy 15 minutes, something like that here later into the day, which I won't be at the desk for. So most likely will be a no trade type of day. And with that being said, the trades in which I was looking at yesterday here, so we had Tesla up into 234.95s here. This trade is still valid. I didn't think we were going to gap to the level today, which was kind of unfortunate because we're gapping to what would have been our first target on this trade. So that made it a little bit difficult. So I didn't put anything on here in Tesla today. The next trade in which we had the idea for was in coin. That was up over 94.43s. I didn't like that morning action and the way everything was kind of shaping up with coin, so I elected to just leave this one alone. But I did, however, pick up a position here in Roku. So Roku was the one in which we were looking at for a move up through 84.26s would get us 87.58s. Much like Tesla, we just happened to open at 87.58s, and it's like, okay, cool. We're at the first target. This is probably going to digest the gap some today. But initially, after we tried to go lower here this morning and we were able to kind of push back up through the opens right over through here, we were able to pick up a position in this. And essentially, it's basically unchanged. I think it's down like 4 or 5 cents. I picked up because of where the market was, because of all of these things. We're at the first target. I thought it was going to digest some of the gap. I elected to go with the 95 calls, which is out of the money. I mean, 7-8 points out of the money, with the idea that, hey, it's got room up here in the 92.89s and then a $100 print. So those contracts were like 22 cents, 24 cents, I think, at the time I sent that out. So they're sized for 0 for me, and that was essentially a FOMO mitigation, type of thing. I thought, hey, if the markets do go higher today, then maybe it'll pull Roku with it up over, this 87.58. If markets don't and they just digest this move, then, Roku probably holds up. And that was kind of my thinking, is it's a lower risk way for me to get into a position, because chances are I'm not going to have anything to do with the NASDAQ and the S&Ps, which turns out to be the case. I had nothing to do with those today, given, the move in which we saw, right? So the next trade in which I put on here was another small lotto trade here for the end of the week, and that's the 475s here for Netflix. Essentially, I was looking up through this kind of 451 area here, would give it room up into 474, and maybe, just maybe, if it wants to get crazy, the 500 print for OPEX. Now, it may be looking more kind of like the 450 for OPEX. We'll see just kind of how this topping tail shaped out today on the daily chart. Big move, obviously, out of the NASDAQ. Netflix here, I would say, kind of underperformed in a pretty big way. But across the board, I mean, I think overall market conditions are tough. I didn't see any massive intraday movers here that weren't getting a large gap to the upside, like essentially we saw across the board. And I think it's really tough too when we see something that's not normal for us, which is a 5.49% run out of the Russell here. But if you remember back to the Sunday write-up, where I was talking about kind of the action this week, I thought Russell was going to be the guide. So at this point, to bring this video kind of full circle back, to where I'm talking about, hey, there's probably some higher prices here. I don't know that they come tomorrow, but a 5.49% move out of the Russell here, I think, has to be respected, given where we are across the board with the Russell and all of the things that are leading into this. So I'm taking that move out of the Russell today, and I'm saying, okay, cool. I don't want anything to do with the downside at the moment, unless we were able to, break the level, open beneath it, do something like that. And I'm still, even as extended as we are, looking at some of these long names like Roku to continue to the upside, like Tesla, and trying to find those relative strength names that I can play that with, just based on, kind of how the Russell's guiding me here, to the upside at 5.49%. So anyways, that's what I've got here for this video. I also like gold. I think gold has the potential here to kind of break up through this 1974 area, which it traded right up into today. So I was liking this up over 74.10s if it could get through it today. It turns out it doesn't. But if it does get up through there tomorrow, I think this move was not essentially expected from, I would not have expected this small of a move out of gold, given the size of the move in which we saw from the NASDAQ futures and the rest of the indices, to the upside here. So with that being said, I'm going to keep that one on watch here again tomorrow as well, and we'll kind of see how this shakes out. So anyways, that's what I've got for tonight. Take care. Hope it helps. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.